leadership and stewardship of this process. Again, a few years ago, we were truly on the leading and cutting edge of some of these conversations, and it is, I think, a very positive development in this country to see more progress in this space, a broader understanding, a deeper recognition of how much harm we've done, how much damage we've done to ourselves and our bodies, and the challenges we continue to face in chronic disease, how we can mitigate and prevent it, and how this is part of our healthcare delivery. One of the things that's unfortunate about what's happening across this country is while they're asserting one thing in terms of making America healthy again, they're doing something radical on the other side of that, the most significant cutbacks, the most consequential rollbacks of health care coverage in American history, with premiums that are about to double, 97% on average for Californians. We expect 600,000 Californians to lose their health coverage in January, 600,000 that can no longer afford health coverage if the big beautiful bill and its impacts on Obamacare and the elimination of these subsidies go away. And so you can't do one without the other. And I think what makes me most proud of what the Assembly members are doing and what our Secretary has done is that we have a comprehensive strategy to health care. And then, by the way, includes the environment, which is a huge part of the air we breathe, the water we drink. So it's just not good enough to make a case against ultra-processed foods unless you're making a case for a healthcare delivery system and preventative care and making a case for integrating these values and these principles. So I think California is a model. We're hardly perfect. No one's naive. There are tremendous challenges, but this is a big part of our effort. And final point on this, and before we open up to questions. We opened shortly after we became the first state in the U.S. to provide universal health care, regardless of pre-existing conditions, ability to pay, and your status. We also opened an office of health care affordability. It's not gotten the kind of attention I think it deserves. It's actually created some numeric targets to reduce health care costs. It's also a component part of CalRx and the work we're doing to start providing our own drugs like insulin. We're going to, by the way, make a big announcement on that next week. A little bit of a preview in that space. We've done it for naloxone. We're looking at the diaper space, et cetera, to lower the cost, not subsidize cost, but to actually lower the cost of production and cost to the taxpayers in the state. But the Office of Healthcare Affordability has a numeric target as well for healthy foods. And I don't think there's anything comparable anywhere in the country that we are truly focusing on health care, not sick care. We're truly focused on a preventative care model. And a big part of that is the Healthy Foods initiatives. And a big part of that is the work that is going to be entrusted over the course of the next few years at the Department of Public Health to identify what are currently thousands and thousands and thousands of these additives that, by the way, do not exist in the European Union and many other parts of the globe that somehow we've allowed to exist and persist here through neglect. And California will be leading the nation. FDA will do their part. I don't have confidence ultimately where that goes, but I do have confidence where these folks go over the course of the next few years. So I just want to add that to broaden, I hope, the appeal and the comprehensive nature of what we're advancing and announcing here today. With that, we're here as well to answer any questions.
Governor, on that note of healthcare policy, what do you say to Republicans who are tying this shutdown? They're calling it a referendum on healthcare for immigrants and similar policies that immigrants in California.
Well, they're lying. They're just lying. I don't think it needs any deeper explanation. They are lying. They made it up. And it just shows how, I mean, not only sort of desperate and pathetic to knowingly lie to the American people, particularly people in positions of power and influence, the Speaker himself, not just the President of the United States, though that's just, every minute of every hour of every day. But it also shows how wrong they are and the overwhelming, now bipartisan opposition to these massive increases in healthcare costs that are going into effect in January. And by the way, I mentioned 600,000 people in the state of California. We think that is a conservative number. We actually ran 3 different surveys on this to come up with that number. We put that out, published that a number of months ago. It's over 4 million people that they conservatively estimate nationwide. We were looking just at the Anthem Bronze Plan. This is something familiar with people on the California exchange, the Bronze Plan. Right now, if you're on the Bronze Plan, it's about $307. It's going to go up to $964. $307 a month to $964. We're talking about a 100% increase across the board in the aggregate, but some people are living with triple-digit increases. This is jaw-dropping, and people are finally starting to understand that. That's why they're desperate to paint a different picture. But again, they're lying.
Governor, can you talk about the timeline on the law you just signed?
Yeah.
It's a couple of years before the phase-out kicks in, and then it's almost 7 years before the ban kicks in.
Yeah, so it's a multi-year process that on July 1st of 2029, we'll move forward with the first phase, where we are in the process of moving away from the ultra-processed food definitions that are being put together by staff and are being organized in a very deliberative way. So we're giving this sort of 3-year window of opportunity. By the way, the bill, to Jesse's credit, the author's credit, every 5 years will reassess the status of those reviews and provide an additional 3-way pathway to continue that phase out. So it's ample time. There's 50 amendments through this process. We can get into the sausage making here, but it is nonetheless a nation-leading effort, and I think was done, and forgive me, I'll ask the author to speak, in an extraordinarily responsible way and responsive to the concerns that we were way ahead of our skis, meaning those amendments, I think, reflected a pragmatic approach to advance this ideal.
Yeah, the governor is exactly right. The goal here was to do this in a thoughtful, nuanced, and pragmatic way. And so as the governor mentioned, the bill will go into effect. Schools will have to start to phase out those harmful ultra-processed foods in 2029, but we give them a little bit of a runway to comply with that, and that is something that we decided to do because of feedback that we got from school districts, from school nutrition professionals, from researchers, from the department. So we want this to be done in a thoughtful, workable way to do sound policy, and so giving that little flex in the system will allow school districts to do that. But we think that a lot of school districts, because of the way that procurement works, are going to be fully compliant with the bill well in advance of the final deadline, and that our kids are going to be getting the healthy, nutritious, real foods that they deserve shortly after 2029.
But that doesn't, and I think this is important, you've seen this with multiple other strategies the state has advanced, including, by the way, just on the cell phone ban. That was a 2-year phase-in, and we saw the vast majority of districts move much sooner. So our hope and expectation, you heard from the superintendent here in LA Unified School District and how they've made a lot of progress. I know other school districts, similar progress, that you can see districts move much more quickly beyond that statewide ban. But we're looking at a system that's unlike any system in the United States. 1,050 school districts and 58 counties. This is the largest system of its type. And so one size doesn't fit all, and we have to be sensitive and mindful to those districts that may need a little extra time.
Governor, your reaction to the arrest made today, the connection to the Palisades fire?
Well, I mean, I want to thank the ATF. I want to thank the Department of Justice for a job well done and the work that was done initially through the investigations unit at LA Fire Department as well. And so we're pleased. Now, there's a process here. One falls. He's accused of this crime. If indeed it is, this suspect is ultimately held accountable. That at least, I think, calms the fear and anxiety that some people felt around what and who was responsible and how this actually occurred. There are a lot of theories, a lot of thoughts, a lot of conspiracies as well out there. And so hopefully this lands some clarity in that respect. Beyond that, I just want to give you a little heads up. There's an important report that's coming out about our preparedness and about our response. You may recall a number of months back we announced the nation's leading group, the FSRI group, which is the Fire Response Research Institute. They are putting out a 2-part report, an independent report on preparation and response. The first phase of that report is coming out the week of October 20th. It will not be about the ignition but it will be about preparation and response. And again, it's the first phase of a two-phase report that was promised, not just promoted, a number of months ago. And so all of these things are instructive, as will be the review of what is the accused may or may have not done, whether or not these embers that allegedly were still brewing underground, what could be done as it relates to any lessons learned in that respect. We saw similar things. We've seen a lot of fire starts over the years. Oakland Hills, there were some similar versions of this. I've seen some other larger fires, particularly in the root system of a lot of these larger forest fires. But all those things are going to be important.
As a quick follow-up to that point, when it comes to the reignition here today, we saw that they made a clear link this morning between that fire that started January 1st, smoldered underground, then reignited to burn down much of the Palisades. People in the Palisades are speaking out today, specifically on social media that I saw, said that the city, county, the state may be liable here. Are you concerned about potential liability?
Well, I think they found the arsonist, and we'll look at the investigation and what backed up this indictment, and then we'll look at the facts and judge on the basis of those facts. And there's when it comes to the issue of fire liability, I know a thing or two, going back to Paradise and the process that unfolds there and how this is done without political interference, and how the facts need to be pursued without any bias or political interference. And I just want to know the facts, period. And ultimately then we'll judge culpability. Those facts are not only being assessed as it relates to this indictment by the federal government of this alleged arsonist, but obviously those facts are currently being reviewed as it relates to the fire in Altadena as well. And so I just want to leave it at that until we get all those details.
Last question.
Well, that is, for you guys, remarkable. I'm going to take advantage of this and wish you all a great weekend. Well, I hope it gives some closure as it relates to some of the anxiety that may have been felt. How did this happen? Who's responsible? Can this happen again? What lessons we learn? So at least from that perspective, a little bit of closure. That said, it's cold comfort for those who lost their homes and are coming through the recovery. What I do say is that we need to really now, I think, call out why the President of the United States and Congress has refused to provide support to those that have been victimized by this arsonist and this devastation. $39 billion for months and months and months. And the President of the United States has said nothing. Speaker of the House said he's not interested in helping the American people that were devastated, lives torn asunder here in Los Angeles. I mean, where is the accountability in that respect? Where's the spirit that defines the best of this country? To be here for fellow Americans in the time of recovery, uncertainty. It's been months, not a peep from the President of the United States, not a word from Speaker Johnson. I was proud as a taxpayer, as an American, to have Speaker Johnson's back when his district in his state was devastated by floods. I said the same thing to Greg Abbott as we sent him personnel and support because he needed it with the devastation of the flood. That I'm proud that our tax dollars, disproportionately California's tax dollars, will be used to help support the recovery in Texas. That's what makes America great. Not a word from the Republican Party, not a word from Speaker Johnson, not a word from the President of the United States. I applaud the work that initiated under the Biden administration in this investigation and the work that this administration did as it relates to finding this person and ultimately pushing these charges and making these charges. But I find it shameful that they haven't done a damn thing for the thousands of people who lost their homes and whose lives were devastated from this disaster. Not a word from the President of the United States.
Thank you, everyone.